Absolutely no chance.
Virat Kohli has retired from Test cricket, Ayaz. And before we get into his legacy and what lies ahead for the Indian team, I just wanted to get your initial reactions.
Well, I think, look, it's one of the most stellar careers in the history of the game, not just in Indian cricket, but in the history of cricket. So, with the kind of performances that we've seen from him in every format over the last 15, and it's been a long career, starting from the under 19 ranks, making an impact there, being fast tracked into the Indian team, and then, holding his own for so long. Yes, he's had his ups and downs, especially in the last 5 years, but it's been a magnificent career. He may not have the most test runs, he may not have the most test centuries, as we know, but he's done outstandingly well in every format. And at least, I think, for a decade, when he was in his pomp, when he was at his best, he was the most compelling cricketer in the world. And perhaps no bigger ambassador for Test cricket or for the sport than him.
Yeah, so let's break his legacy down into two parts. So now you alluded to the fact that when he was in his pomp, he was stellar. Now, as a batter, now there was a period when we thought that he could end up as one of the greatest of all time in Test matches in Test cricket across countries. Now he had a horrific time during the pandemic, and he never really recovered. But he still go down as one of India's top five, I guess, Test batters of all time. And as a captain, he'll surely be remembered as one of the best Test captains India's ever had, and he'll be specifically remembered for his dynamic combination with Ravi Shastri, bringing in the fast bowlers and bringing in also a sort of professionalism and fitness into the side. So, how do you sum up his legacy?
Yeah, I mean, look, as a batsman, as you mentioned, I mean, the figures speak for themselves. He's a little short of 10,000 runs. So you might argue that there are many who've got more than 10,000 runs. There were many who got more than 34 centuries or 33 centuries. Yes, all that is true. But those are the parts of the sum. When you look at the whole sum, you'll find that perhaps in the last 15, 17 years, there has been no more complete batsmen than him. I mean, there are Joe Root, Steve Smith, Kane Williamson, who've been his immediate rivals, so to speak, and they're all brilliant cricketers. But the kind of impact that Virat has had in all formats has just not been there. Now, obviously, what stands out also, or not necessarily to highlighting his greatness, is the fact that he didn't win any ICC title. But as a Test captain, he's got a fabulous record. He's got the best record for India. So, and the impact he's had with Ravi Shastri as the coach was how they took Indian cricket from, in a sense, which was in the doldrums for a while, and then just perked it up with the emphasis on fast bowling and the attitude and the aptitude to go out and win overseas, hunting around for fast bowlers, redefining the bowling attack, and also pushing the batting or the batsman to playing more aggressively and playing to win. So that's going to be one contribution of him, along with Shastri in tandem, which will be long remembered.
Yeah, another point, another highlight of this legacy would be, I'd say, these immaculate beards that everyone started having, very, very groomed beards. Now, I don't know what will happen with Shubman Gill if he's captain because he's clean shaven. But jokes aside, now let's move on to Rohit, who also announced his retirement. Now, when we were talking about Rohit, we were saying that now everything is done. His only goal now remaining is trying to play that 2027 ODI World Cup. Now, this frees up Kohli to do the same. Now, both of them would ideally want to lift that trophy together, having done so in the T20 format and then retiring soon after that. So, is that the only goal remaining now for Virat Kohli?
Well, right now that seems to be the only goal because, I mean, apart from winning an IPL title for RCB, where they're still in the running this season, and he's not announced his retirement from IPL. So, in the future, he might be aspiring to do more than win just one title. So that can happen. What is intriguing me and perhaps even bothering me a bit, Anirudh, is the pattern of these retirements. Look at there were no test matches being played. So the current form of these players like Virat and Rohit was only to be assessed or sussed out in the IPL. Virat has been in fantastic form. Rohit hasn't started off, slowly, poorly, but has come into good nick. He's in very good touch right now. And then also remember that the player contracts were just handed out not too long back, 8, 10, 15 days or within the last fortnight. And both of them are in the A plus category, which includes, that they would be playing test cricket. I mean, that's one of the reasons why you get into that A plus category. So What's been the nature of the communication between the BCCI and these players? Something has been happening or not happening? I'm really intrigued. I'll tell you what bothers me is that if you look back over the last 5, 6 months, you had R. Ashwin retiring in the middle of a series. And then 2, 3, 4 weeks back, we had a, a clutch of support staff being sacked unceremoniously. Now we've had Rohit retiring abruptly or making the announcement quite abruptly. And Virat doing pretty much the same, unexpected. Even after Rohit had retired, it was not expected that Virat would follow suit, but obviously he has, and it's there. So look, I'm saying that players' retirement does not necessarily come should not be a shock because, and especially for players who are 38, 37, approaching the end of their careers. I think the fact that they've not had a great time in Test cricket, both Rohit and Virat, in the last 6, 8 months, has obviously also told on them. But I would want some little more clarity as to what's been happening. Maybe the BCCI can shed some light because if these are mega players, major players, and you've got a tour of England coming up, you're losing a captain, you're losing two of your most experienced batsmen. Was there any conversations between the board, the selectors, and these players? Were they asked to stay on for one more series? What's been the dynamics? What's been the nature of this conversation? Is something which I would like to know. And as I mentioned earlier, it's bothering me in the manner in which the pattern which is kind of emerging has been for me a little irksome.
Yeah. So as you said, there had been speculation that Kohli wanted to captain again and sort of lead Shubman Gill into that role transition period. But all that is still speculation. You're right. There is no clarity, and we haven't expected clarity from the BCCI in some time. But this leads me to point about where this team heads now, because most of the veterans are gone now. Rohit is gone, Virat is gone, Ashwin, as you mentioned, retired. Bumrah and Shami are not always fit, and Jadeja is not the Jadeja of old. And also remember, now Shubman Gill might come in as captain. We still have no clarity on that. And most importantly, there are two batting slots available now. So looking ahead, who do you think fits in?
I mean, now you'll have to look at the form in domestic cricket that has been played, the Ranji Trophy and the other tournaments, and obviously what's been happening in the IPL. Now, for instance, somebody like Karun Nair, who had a great domestic season and started off, very impressively in the IPL, and then he had a bit of a slump in the IPL. Now, but we're going for a Test series. It's a 5 Test match series in England. So I would say Karun Nair is certainly one of the contenders for a place in the squad, the Test squad. And there are other batsmen that one can look at, those who had a decent. Rajat Patilar, who's had a very good domestic season, Devdutt Padikkal. These are the guys. I mean, you have to now look at replacements for the likes of Rohit and Virat. I mean, that kind of a comparison is never going to, show the others in incandescent light, if you know what I mean. But you have to now look at guys who've been performing consistently in the longer format, in red ball cricket, who have the temperament, not necessarily only the strokes. And I must mention also, let's not forget guys like Cheteshwar Pujara, who's been playing in England for the last few seasons, Ajinkya Rane, who's been striving to come back into the Indian team. Right now, suddenly, light seems to be shining also on them because their past accomplishments are very, have been quite outstanding in many ways. So we'll have to wait and see. This next week is going to be, the selectors is going to be. There's a lot on their plate, and I can't envy them because while there's an abundant talent in India, suddenly these two retirements have opened up many gaps and many holes in the Indian team, which is going to tour England.
Yeah, and I'll also like to add the name of Sai Sudarshan because we've spoken
Yes,
about
Sai
him earlier
Sudarshan.
also.
I mean, how can, actually he would be topping my list because not only has he had a great IPL, but he's been outstanding in domestic cricket also for the past few seasons, not just this one.
Yeah, so there you have it. This is a developing story, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll come back to you as and when we get more updates. So that's it for this episode of Sports Room. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.